Greetings, beautiful people. So this video, I want to talk about something that I have, had on my mind for quite some time. And, I just want to talk on it and build on it. I spoke about it in my last video, diffusing a situation of confusion. And, it just comes down to dimensions. And like I said, I watch videos as a student because I'm open to learning. And dimensions, man, I just, I look at dimensions, and then I look at sicknesses that people acquire, that people get here in this life called dementia, you know what I mean? And they kind of sound the same. And we look at these people who have dementia, and when you really study dementia, it comes down to disassociation with reality, memory loss. You literally are classified as going insane. You know what I mean? Now, when somebody's sane, okay, they're classified as being normal. But when you go insane, then you're literally looked at as crazy. You know what I mean? But you're insane. So thinking about it, it just goes into a form of lostness somehow. When you're insane, you're basically lost in your sanity. I guess that's how I could look at it. But dimensions, you go into a different dimension every time that you go to sleep. You know what I mean? But you lose awareness of it. You lose memory. You know what I mean? When you wake up. Notice how when somebody gets knocked out, they go unconscious. And when they wake up, the first thing they say is, what happened? You know what I mean? They completely lose their memory of what happened. You know what I mean? Yet memory is water and light. But what happens in that state where you shift your consciousness from one state to another? You get the unconscious. Then you have your conscious, subconscious. When you go into meditation, you completely disconnect, and in a way you lose perception of reality and time to some extent, because it's happened to me. You know what I mean? And the key is to maintain control through awareness. You know what I mean? Through and consciousness. You're conscious of something. Conscious and awareness, I mean, it's just philosophically, they're so associated with each other. You know what I mean? Can you really clearly explain the difference between consciousness and awareness? You know what I mean? Like, you're consciously aware of something. When you're conscious, you're aware of something. You know what I mean? But then when you change a state of being, which I believe is the dimensions, you know what I mean? It's not where you physically go there. I mean, look at the word we use. We're multi-dimensional beings. And yet, we're multi-dimensional beings. And you're being human because you're a human being, And why does the memory leave when you change a state of being? When you die and you reincarnate, you can't remember your past life, you know what I mean? But the memory is stored in your DNA. It's, we hear of the Akashic records. We hear of, DNA is your information. There's also dormant DNA. Could it be that if that DNA that's dormant was activated, the system would be online completely to be able to experience the memory of in between states? I don't know. All I know is that, the body is a system. I mean, it's a body full of systems. You know what I mean? And you look at digestive system, nervous system, circulatory system, respiratory system. But when you meditate, you disconnect from the system. You know what I mean? And yet the system is keeping you alive and well and in perfect homeostasis. And when we let it rock, it does what it has to do. You know what I mean? To keep you in perfect balance. See, I look at movies like the Terminator, you know, one of the programs he has is he cannot self-terminate. You know what I mean? So we are bound here by an illusion of time. We're bound here by the illusion of these lights that we have. And we associate ourselves with this system. You know what I mean? When the way you look at everything outside of you as an illusion, your body is part of this system, which is also an illusion. You know what I mean? But this body is a vehicle. It's a vessel. You know what I mean? And you could look at nature, and nature could be, you know, natural, and nature, and, you know, the natural state of being. You know, you utilize that tool because you're part of the system. Everything is connected, so you can get energy from the system. You know what I mean? When you ground and you know, you absorb the sunlight and, you know, sun gazing and all that. But, you know, the sun gives you a certain percent of what reality is. You know what I mean? So if you go within through meditation, you are everything and nothing at the same time, which is the total darkness. Is this why we're so powerful? Because we are the darkness. I mean, we're a light being, right? We are a carbon light body, right? And we are void. You know what I mean? We have the void. The consciousness is the darkness. That's the black. That's the where you can create the light from within. You know what I mean? Maybe this is why we are multi-dimensional beings, because we can pretty much channel or tap into any frequency. But the question is, how do you do that? You know what I mean? Because can you perceive, can you fathom a different reality other than the reality that we're living in now? You know what I mean? And it has me thinking, you know what I mean? Now, you feed the beast, which is your body, you know what I mean? When you feed it the wrong way through addictions, because here's the thing, we look at food as, you know, something to keep us nutritious, you know what I mean, to give us nutrients, you know what I mean? But we get addicted to food, we get addicted to sugar, we get addicted to flesh. The mark of the beast: 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. We are a light carbon body, yet we are the darkness going within. Okay? And I'm just trying to get to something here. I'm trying to, you know, whoever watches this video and they want to build on it, they can. It's just shit that has me like thinking, and sometimes I go to sleep thinking about it. Like last night I was dreaming, and here's the funny part is I wish I could remember my dreams in detail, because for some reason I get these dreams and this information is fed to me, but I can't remember what the fuck it is. You know what I mean? And I noticed that the less I eat, the more I can remember anything that happens to me in a dream state or through meditation, or when I'm in a different brainwave state. I can disconnect from the system a lot easier when I'm fasting, because I'm not feeding the beast, yet I'm also, during fasting, practicing my breathing techniques. And, you know, respiration is spirit. You see the word spirit in there. And it's, I guess it's inspiring, inspiration. It's inspiring my spirit. It's waking up my spirit. It's stimulating my spirit. You know what I mean? But yet we don't do that. We only feed the beast, especially even through the ego. The ego is a good and bad thing, because you see, I have to use my ego to make this video. I'm using my ego right now. You know what I mean? But I'm not using my ego in a way where it's you know, the look at me, I'm important. It's more like I'm presenting myself a certain way. You know what I mean? To be acceptable on camera and to try to get somebody's attention. You see, there's also different ways to get attention from people. Let's say, for example, If you sound like your average Joe, giving out information, people might not pay attention to you as much. But then when you come across as an asshole, or you come across super aggressive, and now people start to pay attention to you. But now they pay attention to you in a way where they're paying attention to you to try to find something wrong with you, rather than just listening to what the fuck the person is saying. You know what I mean? And this is the thing. I've come to this realization that if I'm gonna watch something, watch it as an observer, watch it as a student. You know what I mean? And why would you watch it as you're just gonna try to judge? You know what I mean? And if you're conscious and aware, you already know that that's not good. You know what I mean? There's a cause and effect to everything. And if you're gonna judge, that's something that you'll deal with later. You know what I mean? There's a cause and effect. And yet we still do it because that's just something that you do because you're feeding your ego. You know what I mean? You need to feel like you're empowered, and you know, you need to feel like you know, you're right and everybody's wrong. But what is truth? What is fact? You know what I mean? What is fact? What is truth? You know what I mean? There's different perceptions to everything. Everybody's born in different, you know, positions. Even time. We say time is an illusion, but time is a location, just like, you know, everything is sound. Look at the planes when they break the sound barrier. You could physically see something happening. You know what I mean? They're breaking the sound barrier. You know, and when you go fast enough, you can literally go into a different time than somebody else, but you physically went there by breaking the speed of sound. You know what I mean? We all emit a certain frequency. And, you know, they talk about the human race. You know, and if you look at each race, I just look at each race as a different organ, you know, as an overall. That, you know, I'm an organism. I'm an organism, and I have many organs inside emitting a certain frequency, but all those organs combined emit one frequency, which is why I'm an organism. An organ is a musical instrument you play in a church. So everybody has a frequency that they play, whether it be a lower frequency, higher frequency, whatever it may be, but we all create a certain musical frequency. You know what I mean? But what is an original frequency? You know what I mean? And it's hard to explain, you know what I mean? It's hard to explain. We look at this illusion of power, you know what I mean? And the illusion of power, we look at, you know, people. How do the people in power have power? Do you think it's just money? No. See, they have money because they print it. They can do whatever the fuck they want with the money. But the illusion of power, like the $1 bill doesn't cost any different to print than a $100 bill. Yet we put so much focus, so much more energy and value to that $100 bill. But it's just a belief. See, at the end of the day, everything you listen to, you still got to polarize yourself here in this, in this illusion, or in this dimension, I guess, the state of being, because even if you're listening to this, you can resonate with what I'm saying and then form a belief around it, or you can have an opposing thought or idea or light about it, and you know what I mean? It's just a polarization, you know what I mean? Or you could just maintain neutral and be like, whatever. But when you maintain neutral, you know what I mean? Do you take that information in? You know what I mean? Do you take that information in and build on it and create your own perception of it? Again, like I told you, everybody's born. See, we all thought, what sign are you? Everybody says, what sign are you? I'm an Aries. I'm a Taurus. I'm a Gemini. I'm a Scorpio. I'm a you know, Sagittarius. But there's meaning to that, but yet we use it. What do we use it for? Just to, oh, my horoscope says this, and then the ego feels a certain way. They you know, they create a personality around it. You know what I mean? But when you're born in a certain position, you're born, you're there's a certain frequency, there's a certain light. You know what I mean? And Angels. Angels are angles, you know what I mean? You measure angles in degrees, you know what I mean? Which creates a certain temperament. Some people are more hot-headed than others, and some people live in certain chakras more than others, and depending on the position that they were born in, astrologically, But if we were all to get together and share each other's angles, different angles of light, we would have a better perception of the spectrum that we're very limited in, because we're so close-minded. See, I look at ants and bees, and they all work together to ensure the survival of their colony, and they all cater to the queen. You know what I mean? See, here we cater to the masculine aspect in every way. We do everything masculine, even though everything we're doing is receiving, but we're receiving only with the shell, which is the outer part of us. So we're still receiving with the outer part of us. You know what I'm saying? But if we were receiving with the inner part of us and learning how to use the inner part of us, then we would be perceiving with the extrasensory perceptions or extrasensory abilities. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, we're here in this physical reality for an experience, so we should experience our five senses, but we should experience it to the fullest. So why do people tune in to feelings and emotions and things that doesn't make them feel happy? You know what I mean? So if I'm in a vessel, okay, and this is because I'm in my car, I don't associate myself in my car, but I can also listen to radio stations. If I don't like what I'm listening to, or if I don't like the music I'm listening to, I can just change the channel. Am I going to force myself to listen to it and just be miserable the whole time that I'm driving? No, because see, everybody likes different types of music. People like different types of people. You know what I mean? Guys like different shapes of women. You know what I mean? And girls like different. You know what I mean? And it's just all like, what do you resonate with? You know what I mean? But, it all comes down to something resonating with you as like attracts like. And sometimes you need the opposite to, like just to create something. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm with a girl, that's an opposite energy that I'm using I can procreate life with her, and I can create, you know what I mean? Different types of energies with her. You know what I mean? Sometimes like repels. You know what I mean? You have magnets, they repel. But that's when you go into the magnetism of things. Now, we're electromagnetic beings. So, yeah, in the magnetic part, okay, that's why I'm an electrical, I'm a male, and then my girl is a female. She's more magnetic. You know what I mean? That's the estrogenic part. And then you have the testosterone that a man carries, right? Now, I can get with a friend of mine, and, based on our energies, we can resonate with each other. You know what I mean? But we'll repel in certain ways, because he's electric, just like I am, or maybe I'm a fire sign, and you know what I mean? And if he's a water sign, he might put me out, you know what I mean? And it just goes by different energies, you know what I mean? And sometimes you utilize energies to your advantage. This is why I love building with people, regardless of what their point of view of certain things are. And this is why they use the word point of view. You know what I mean? You were born in a certain position, so you have a different point of view, a different perception of things, different angles. But at the end of the day, if we keep an open mind, see, I believe that if we keep an open mind about everything, we can, move our state of being to different dimensions, which is different state of being. You know what I mean? And if people are here with dementia, you know what I mean? They're probably in another state of being, all right? But it's not in harmony. It's kind of like if I'm sleeping and my body comes online ahead of time, I'm going to experience the sleep paralysis of things. All right? And this is not what I'm saying, oh, this is how it is. I'm just This is just the way I'm seeing things, okay? So I don't want people to come in here and, you know, say, oh, but, and listen, I love, if I get comments and you give me your point of view, I'm gonna appreciate it, because I get to see things in a different point of view. See, the reason I make this channel is so that I can connect. Because if I go and talk to my family members who are not even in this frequency, I'm just talking to myself, because they don't know what, first of all, they might not even understand what the fuck I'm talking about. You know what I mean? And some people are just not ready. They're just not there. You know what I mean? That's like me teaching my son algebra. He's just not there. I would have to wait till he's a little more mature. And this is why I think that it comes down to maturity. You know what I mean? And the younger you are, the easier you are to inform you. You know what I mean? But you'll also believe everything you hear. And part of the maturity is not believing everything you hear. It's literally, you know, we're here using common sense. You know what I mean? And that's why I believe that this is where we would benefit from using these senses, is utilizing them correctly. You know what I mean? Not, let's say, utilizing them and getting addicted to certain feelings. You know what I mean? And it's basically utilizing them to be able to balance ourselves. I hope I explained myself, because, you know, correctly, because again, this is not easy to explain. And maybe I gotta mature. I'm still maturing, but the ideas and the information is in me. But sometimes I feel like I can't express it. You know what I mean? And this is why, and listen, up to 3 years ago, I said I was in a totally different world than I am now. You know what I mean? I was eating completely different. My mindset was completely different, but something bad happened to me and it stimulated a change in me. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I figured out that it's all about you being in control. God mode is you knowing that you have things working for you rather than you working for things. You know what I mean? And I'll make a video on my perception of the illusion of power. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people will correlate money with power, but knowledge, you ever hear, I know something you don't know? See, magic happens because a magician knows how to manipulate magic and create an illusion that you wouldn't have any idea how it's working. Okay? And I'll talk about that in my next video, so I don't make this video too long, because I'll just go into detail as to, you know, what the illusion of power is. You know what I mean? Because you can have power when you physically have more strength over somebody. And see, men here have more strength than women, which is why we try to overpower that masculine, that feminine aspect. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, the feminine aspect is metaphysically more powerful than the masculine aspect. You know what I mean? But yet, why do they make you want to believe that it's the other way around? Because they know that if you utilize the feminine aspect, you might be a hell of a lot more powerful than you ever thought you ever could be. But we'll chat soon.